Okay, we're going to walk through what those responsibilities are for that primary and secondary backup group, and understand that that is the most versatile team on the operating ground initially, because they could very quickly elect to become primary and secondary rescuers if the victim's condition presents that way. So John and I get on scene. We've each got a reaching component, we've each got a throwing component, and we're outfitted and prepared to make entry if we need to make entry and go into a go rescue mode. Anything else you got to add to that, John, about what we're going to be doing initially getting off the truck?
We are fortunate because we're complemented with our full rescue equipment, all our cold water immersion suit and stuff like that. Remember that the first companies on the scene could potentially be an EMS unit, a squad or a medic or something that arrives on the scene. And at a basic minimum, they're going to have a life jacket and throwing equipment, okay? So they may not have the full range of protection to perform a go rescue, but still be very critical in performing that rescue and making that assessment.
All right, so John and I are on scene. We've got our tool loads. We're going to take off towards the ice. Okay, so we get up close to the ice surface. Hopefully we've obtained that competent person. We've gathered some information about our victim. John and I are going to immediately divvy up between primary and secondary backup personnel, or if it turns into it, rescue personnel. My job as the secondary guy is to keep an eye on him, make sure that he's safe and that I'm watching his back. Additionally, I'm going to start the ice assessment, and I'm going to go do a 360 of the space within reason, depending on this body of water. I'm going to try and find alternate access points, see if I can find any telltale signs of where that victim's at if we don't see them, see any breaks in the ice surface, and relate that ice assessment as well as this space assessment back to John. John's going to go ahead and become the primary guy. I'm going to become the secondary guy.
All right, Dalen, I want you to go ahead and take a walk around that side over there and take a look and check for any other victims.
Got it.
I'm going to turn around and go this way.
All right, as the secondary guy, as I'm making my way around the space, I'm assessing that ice and the environment. Remember, the primary guy's focused on the victim. I'm focused on access points, approach, and potentially what kind of resource we're going to have to use to get from the bank or the open water to the victim out on the ice. So one of the primary things I'm looking for is how stable is the ice, how thick is the ice, and for what degree is it intact. So when I'm assessing this ice, I want to try and assess cleaned areas or areas where I can truly see ice. I want to basically sound it just like I would a floor in a fire-based application. When I'm checking that ice, if I get any type of pierce or any break on that surface and I have percolating water or any water that's coming up through cracks, that tells me I've either got layers of ice separated by moving water or that I've got very, very thin ice. Either way, both of those are pretty unstable applications. I also can look at color changes and snow facets along the bank. All of those play roles into insulating the ice or not insulating the ice, creating weak points and strong points. The fissures, the cracks, wind sweeps. If I've got a cornice of ice coming up and then a break point beneath, that is also going to tell me that I've got layers upon layers. So when I'm looking at that, what I'm trying to do is formulate a plan about how we're going to potentially gain access to that victim. I'm also looking at the break point where the victim is and trying to gather as much information as I can visually and from our competent person about what the estimated size is of that victim. So I'm listening to John's interaction, I'm looking at the victim. If it's a small child or someone small like that, they may have made it all the way out to the middle of the body of water. But us as rescuers weighing 200 plus pounds, we may make it 6 feet and break through. So anytime you have unstable ice or weak ice, immediately assume that there is a high likelihood that you're going to have to go to a float-based application to get to that victim. Whether it's a sled or whether it's a boat, a RIT craft, a banana boat, some type of inflatable base, or a large-scale load distribution application. Otherwise, we're going to just poke through every time we try and progress towards that victim.
Get myself set up. I'm looking out across the ice. I'm looking for my victim. I'm doing a quick assessment of the environment. Hey, are you all right? Hang in there. We're the fire department. We're going to be here to help you. Is there anybody else in the water with you? Depending on the answers that I get, the feedback I get back from the victim is what we'll be able to do. As I make contact with that victim, I want to get good eye contact. Hey, look at me. Over here, focus on me. You want to use a loud voice. You want to be able to gather his spirit, gather his mind, because a lot of times you got to remember they are hypothermic. They're not being able to make good sound decisions. Once you get that victim focused on you, then you could go with a throwing application. I got rope. Rope. Ideally, once I get that victim to grab a hold of the rope, hold on tight, put it over your shoulder. I want to get in a good athletic stance. Once he has that rope, if he has a good hold, tight up grip on it, then I'm going to start bringing him in. Again, a good athletic stance. Your weight is back on your back foot, and you bring your victim in. Dalen, did you see anybody else?
It's clear, John.